about to start the next, I think it's the fourth step now. So here we go, and looking at this, I realize I do have a bit of a problem here with my painting. This got a bit too busy, which I tend to do, but at the very end, what I'll do is I will wet this, and you'll see what I do, and I'll just add a little bit of blue, tone this down, push it back, so that it doesn't compete with my fox. And every painter has their own thing, right? Their own thing that they struggle with, and mine is I do tend to get busy sometimes. Usually I overindulge in salt. That's okay, then I'll just fix it. Here we go. So, we're now going to put in some details. And so first step is the light, and then we begin the form in the second step. Third step, I go wet on dry and not wet on wet. So what I want to do is come into this area here and just define it a little more. Now I've got a couple, if I'm ever in doubt, here's a good rhyme, if you're ever in doubt, draw it out. So you could draw in where you're going to, you won't see it, paint. I'm going to get a nice little tuft on the feet there, some roundness in there, and put a little line in here. Remember though, if you draw it with pencil, it's not going to erase. So lots of people use water-soluble pencil crayons. I don't, but it's a great thing to do. I've got two brushes here. I got a Series 7 number 7 by Winsor Newton, and a Series 7 number 4, I think, by Winsor Newton, and I'll be using them both. A great thing for fur is a fan brush. You can use these and come into these areas with a little bit of neutral tint. The trick with fur is to go light in the beginning, because you can't erase it, right? So you come in like that. But I'm not going to use this today. I'm going to use these. So now I'm going to come in and I'm just going to create some form by coming in with maybe my purple. I like purple. And some blue. And I'm gently going to come in and just create a little bit of shadow in my fox. Like that. Down in here, right in here, there might be a little more shadow, so I'll take a little more color, thicker pigment, and drop it in. Rinse my brush, take my Kleenex, tap off extra water, and just soften the edge, soften the edge. Now remember, I've got a couple layers of pigment on under here, so I've got to be gentle with my brush stroking. I don't want to be doing this, because I'm going to lift and you'll get muck. So when I come, I'm going to come in here, maybe put a little there, in here, like that. Soften, soften. I'll put a little on here. Down here. Now again, if I want it to look a little more natural, into my neutral, and I could just drop in some neutral tint. But it's my world, so I can do whatever I want. Alright, and I like magic, so I like to use magical colors. I'm going to come into the tail. You can wet it first, or you can just come straight in with color. And I'm not going to come right up here this time, I'm just going to come to the base. Put in some color. Again, a little bit of natural, a little bit of neutral. There we are. Alright, so I think I'm done this now. I may... I like the ear, that just happened kind of on its own. I could put a little, maybe a little bit of color through here. Very gentle. Now if I was using a less expensive brush, I'd be a lot more careful with what I'm doing with my brush strokes. People might not like to hear that, but it's true. Okay, so now that I've done that and I've kind of established some form there, I might take a little of this and pull it up. Keeping it soft. All right. Now I'm going to use my neutral tint to define the face, and this is where we're going to get into some detail. And this takes practice, so I'm going to switch brushes because I like this one a bit better. All right. Now when I use my color here, I'm going to keep it light and intensify it as I go. It's all about the eye for me, so I'm going to come in with a little bit of neutral tint, and I'm just going to put a little neutral in there. You could wet it first if you wanted to. It's almost like a long triangle. I'm going to take that neutral tint, so I put on a little neutral tint in a triangle form, softening towards the edge, and I might drop a little more pigment near the muzzle, near the lip there. Oops, easy to fix. There we go. Now come in and I will put in a nose. Now if you go light, right, you can always go dark afterwards. If you go dark, it's a lot harder to correct. So I'm going to get that nose in there, that nice shape. There we go. I like that shape, so in I come. Darker. And you know what? I can always change the shape of things a little bit. I'm looking at this nose, I'm liking it more. So I'm just changing the shape of this one here. Gently, gently. All right, now I don't want this stark white, so I'm just going to take a little bit of neutral tint, and I'm going to, you could wet it if you want, but I'm not going to. I'm going to put on, I'm almost like tapping a little neutral tint on there. This takes practice. Tap, tap, tap. And then I rinse my brush, and this is how I often do fur and whatnot. So I put on some color, soften with water. Just like that. And I'm going to pull up a little of that color around the eye, a little more intense. I'm going to come in, a little more intense. And everybody's different. But for me, in this painting, I'm going to have, it's hard to see, but I'm going to have a little of that ice blue, the warm blue is the icier blue, around the eye. So I come in, and I'm gently going to put it on, pure color, gently like that, gently rinse my brush, take off the excess water, my Kleenex, and soften. And I for women, when I'm painting animals, when I come to the eye, I treat it like you're putting on eyeliner. So I pay a lot of, I don't just slop on my eyes. They're the most important part of the painting, as far as I'm concerned. So I like to do a good job. So I put on some color, rinse my brush. Now it's important, if you're like cats, apparently have, their hair goes 11 different ways on their face. So it's important, you know, you don't want hair going in the way that it's not supposed to go. So pay attention to that. I love watching animals a lot, so I'm always looking at nature, so I'm always looking at the curve of the wave and how the wave falls and what color is that and how would I capture that color on paper. So I'm not going to muck about in there too much more. I'm going to take a little of that blue, just a little, and put some here. What this does too is create a little bit of indentation on the face so that the eye isn't just plunked there. All right, so while that's drying, because we want that to dry up, I am going to see if I can correct some background for you guys. So, you know, if you don't do it perfect the first time, that's fine. First of all, what I'm going to do though is put in a little shadow. So I'm taking a little bit of the blue, very gently, and I'm coming into my paws, or underneath the paws, and I make it so that he's sitting on something. This is the warm blue, but you could use the cold blue if you want. And there we go. Now if it's a bright full moon, that's what your shadow would look like. So the brighter the light, the darker the shadow, and the harder the line. But in this case, it's not that bright, so I'm just going to soften it like that, keeping it nice and soft. Alright, so background. What I'm going to do, there's different ways of doing this, but I think I'm going to do it this way. I'm just going to wet it. See, this is conflicting with my fox. It's too busy. So I'm wetting this very carefully. The nose is supposed to be dry. Hopefully it will be. Dry enough anyways. Very gently, like that. Then I'm just going to take a little bit of blue. Now either blue will work. I'll probably just do the Windsor blue. And I'm just gently going to put it in. But I'm not going to bring it to that edge. Otherwise I'm going to have a hard line and then I got a Mickey Mouse with the line. Probably will have to Mickey Mouse with it anyways. I'm just going to come in like this. Very gently. Trying not to go over what I've already wet. Rinse my brush. And I can just come up here. Keep that soft. Very, very important that the background is really, really dry at this point. Otherwise you're going to get lines. And once you get lines, you know, it takes someone who really knows what they're doing to get rid of them. And a lot of times you can't. You've just got to, you know, make a focal point somewhere else. Oh, there, now I got a nice horizon line in the snow. I kind of like this, so I'm just going to wet it to here. Again. I won't bring my color up to that edge. I'll bring it down a little. Here we go. Like that. And I'm just taking some of the busyness out of the background. Kind of like that though. Just going to leave that in there. If I find this line is a little too hard, then I just soften it. Still damp enough. I really know what I'm doing, so I can do that. There we are. So we're getting close to the end here. And we'll take a break in a minute and come into the eyes. But what I'll do, when this is dry here, which it isn't, but I can fake it. I'm going to come in, wrap my little paws, and I'm going to define them a little bit. Just by, you know, throwing in a little bit of neutral tint. So I'll let that sink in a little. Come to the base. And just drop in a little bit of neutral tint. Now, I may not demonstrate this, but when this painting is completely finished, what you have to do is soften the edges. So you come in with water and you go all the way around the edge when this is dry, all the way around the edge, and just soften it so it blends into the background a bit. So I think we're going to stop there for a couple minutes, and then we're going to come into the jewel of the painting, which is the eye.